If your status as a wastewater operator changes, you're going to want to fill out and submit a change in status form. In this video, we're going to walk you through how to properly fill out a change in status form. Hi, I'm Brian Hagopian, a professional wastewater instructor with Clearwater Consulting, here to help you navigate all the forms and paperwork associated with having and keeping a wastewater operator's license. The change in status form can be used for any one of a number of different reasons, depending on what you want to change about your status. The form itself is 2 pages long, as shown here. I'm going to zoom into each page to give you a closer look at each of them and to make it easier to follow as we walk through how to properly fill out each section of the form. If you're ready to fill this form out now, it'll be really helpful to have a hard copy handy. If you don't have a form with you right now, click on the link below to download a current copy of the status change form and print it off so we can go through this together. This is the top half of the first page, which tells us that this is an application that we're submitting for the purpose of changing our status. The top section tells us that we have to apply in writing to the Board of Certification, and based on the information we provide, they will determine if a change in status is warranted. You'll be notified in writing of their decision. And if your status changes, you'll receive an updated license. Makes sense, right? Now, to fill out the status change form, fill it out in ink, not in pencil, to make it easier for them to read. And if you make a mistake, either cross it out carefully or start a brand new form. The first thing they ask for is basic information from you. You know, today's date, your current wastewater operator's license number, your date of birth, and your name and address along with your phone number and email address so that they can reach out to you in case they have any questions. Make a copy of a photo ID such as a driver's license or something else and attach it with tape or staple it in the area indicated. The next section of the form is where you indicate the type of change in status that you're requesting. Check only one of the boxes in this section. The first choice is to change your status from when and if, which is designated as a WI on your license, to an operator in training. A when and if operator has passed the licensing exam but isn't working on a job that requires an operator's license. By the way, that also makes you inactive. All you need to do is to include information on the current job that you're working at that requires you to work as a wastewater operator, and we'll cover that information when we get to that section of the form. Now, the next choice is to change your status from an operator in training, designated by the suffix OT or OT-OE, which means operator in training open-ended, which means that the designation is open-ended. It can go on forever. To meet the criteria for full operator status, you need to have a license plus a combination of education and work experience in the field, plus it has to be at a plant with the correct grading in order to satisfy the requirements. If you're not sure that you meet the requirements, there's a link down below to another video where I talk about the work and education experience you need in order to attain full operator status. Now, the next choice is if you want to change your status from NMI, which means needs more information, to either an operator in training or a full operator. When you submitted your information previously, the Board of Certification didn't receive enough information for them to make a final determination on you. You could have received an NMI-P designation, which means that they need more information about the plant you work in. If your license says NMI with a J suffix, then they need more information about your job, your position, your responsibilities and duties. In either case, we'll cover the information you'll want to submit when we get to that part of the form a little bit later on. The next choice is to change your status from inactive to active. Depending on the information you provide, the board will determine whether to issue you either an NMI, an OT, or full operator status. Now, to become active, you'll need to submit proof that you have obtained 10 training contact hours of state-approved wastewater training. We'll cover where that info goes when we get to that part of the change in status form. And the last choice in this section is to change your status from active to inactive. Select this choice if you're no longer working at a job that requires a wastewater operator's license. You have to be able to show that you've been out of the field for the current calendar year. You should know that if you're inactive, you can keep your license if you pay the renewal fee every 2 years, but you don't need any training contact hours in order to keep your license. Now, the next part of the form is where you need to attest and swear that the information you're providing is true and accurate. Print, sign, and date the form. And right below that, there is a section labeled for official use only. Don't write anything in this section. The board fills this out when they meet and determine whether enough of the right information has been provided for your status to be changed. Now, the top section of page 2 is where you indicate your qualifications. It starts with education. This is what the board looks at when they determine if your request should be granted. So the information you include here is really, really important. Now, at the very top, right in the state where you have your license, the date of your license number, your grade, and your status. The next area of the form is where you list your education. Graduating with a high school degree counts toward your work experience requirement, and then an associate's or bachelor's degree could count for even more work experience. Write down where you went to high school and where you went if you have an associate's or a bachelor's degree. Now, if you have anything beyond that, like a master's degree or a PhD, put that down too. It can't hurt. Now, the next area is where they want to know all about any safety or preferably wastewater related courses that you've taken in the past year. If you're looking to change your status from inactive to active, the courses you list should be from the current calendar year. Be sure to list the date of the course, the number of training hours awarded, and be sure to include a copy of the certificate that you received from the course or courses, because they'll want to see proof of training contact hours from a Massachusetts Board of Certification approved course, which is designated by a BC number. And the last area asks details about your last 2 jobs. Write down the name of your current employer, the city, the state, the grade of their wastewater treatment system, your job title, and your dates of employment. They don't give you a lot of room, so you might have to squeeze this information into the area they allow. Next, they ask for your specific job responsibilities as related to operations, maintenance, laboratory-related activities, or collection and distribution systems. Now, I've written in a few suggestions for functions that you may want to include as part of your work experience in operations and maintenance if they apply to the work that you actually do. If you do any lab work, indicate that in the lab section. Now, you probably won't have any experience related to collection or distribution systems, as these jobs mainly apply to people working at municipal plants. Include the same information about your previous position as well, if it applies. When you've finished filling out the form, make a copy of everything for your files, attach a photo ID and any course certificates, and mail everything to the Board of Certification at NEIW PCC at the address indicated on the top of the first page of the form. Now, I can't tell you how long it will take for your change in status form to be reviewed. It might happen really quickly, but the board can get pretty busy at times, and it might take them a little longer to review your request, so be patient with them. If you've waited a few months and haven't heard back, it's perfectly reasonable for you to call them to follow up. That should do it. Here's hoping that you get the change in status that you deserve. Good luck.